Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brandon, your trusted realtor, and I'm coming to you with another amazing episode. Today, I want to talk to you about that age-old fact in real estate: location, location, location. And I want to put that into a little bit perspective for each and every one of you, because at the end of the day, the location of your property matters in so many ways, shapes, and forms. From a planning standpoint, it matters that you have a clear sense of the location of the property. From a financing standpoint, it matters about the location of the property. And then living life matters about the location of the home. So we're going to dive in today, and we're going to spend just a little bit of time talking about these specific elements: location, location, location. Now, as it relates to location in regards to planning for a home, why is that so important? Well, the location of your property has a big impact not only on the price, but it also has an impact on your taxes. Each locality has a different tax or local tax that is assessed. Here in the DMV region, one of the things that we are blessed with is that we can choose to work either in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, and live in one of those areas or districts separately. Many people live in DC and may work in Maryland, or vice versa, or live in Maryland and live in the district, or vice versa. This creates a great commuting opportunity, but the tax differences are different for those communities on those locations. That impacts your buying power. Why is that important? Well, for a couple reasons. When you're planning for your home and your ideal place, identifying how much you are going to pay is largely going to be predicated not only on your taxes, but also not only on the value of the house, but also on your taxes and what you're obligated to pay. You could easily find yourself in a situation where after you close on a home and you purchase the mortgage, which is really what I like to think about it, is all of the additional features that come with it. So just like the adage of buying a car, when you buy a luxury car, people often tell you that you're also buying the maintenance and repair associated with that, and be prepared to pay those. The same thing is true as it relates to the taxes for your property. And that monthly can account from anywhere from less than 25% to almost a third or more of your monthly mortgage payment. So it is definitely something to take into consideration when you're thinking about a location and a community. That will be something also that a lender takes into consideration when they determine whether or not you are eligible or qualify for a property. Not only does the lender look at the amount of the loan, but they look at the taxes in that specific area or community. So that brings me to my next point, which is the planning for location, which is identifying areas that are going to work for you. Before you even start the process of looking for a realtor or even engaging with a realtor, it is so vitally important to leverage the tools and resources that you have available. One amazing tool is my website, bscottrealtydmv.com. Not only is that going to be an amazing resource and tool for you, and I'm also having it revamped here, so it's going to be super interactive and super engaging in the next 4 weeks. But it's going to present using apps and locations and maps and studying, understanding school district, understanding proximity to metro, understanding proximity to the interstate, understanding what interstates are around you or what access point. Thinking consciously about these things before you begin the process of purchasing a home is going to be essential in you winning in this market. Why is that important? And a lot of people will say, hey, Brandon, that's common sense. Well, if everyone had common sense, then it wouldn't, it would be more common, right? At the end of the day, what you find from a location standpoint is individuals have heard of a location. They've not been to a community or spent time in that community. You haven't driven around the community. You haven't gone to that community at night just to see how the individuals in that community engage with one another. You haven't gotten a sense of the life force, the culture of a place. And that's hard to determine. But that's even harder to determine when you're trying to actively purchase a home and you realize that you want to see a house on Saturday and your offers are due on Monday, and they already have 5 offers in hand, knowing that at least you're going to probably have to waive an inspection and put literally $50,000 above your asking price in this market in order to win the deal and maybe even waive the appraisal. Some people, I just lost 4 deals. I don't want to say I lost. I wasn't the successful agent and my clients weren't successful in achieving these houses in 4 transactions where they were outbid or someone waived everything or that someone just paid cash. And so that is a market that we're in. And as things continue to heat up, it's going to be important that you can target a location, target a community so that way, or community so that way you focus. And it's less stress for you and you feel less scattered. If you can determine what your priorities are as far and in a location, then that helps you to better facilitate making and pulling the trigger. A lot of times people go into the process of buying a home and they haven't peeled back enough of the layers of that onion. They haven't really decided on the location. They don't know if they're comfortable with the community. They don't know anything about the community. They don't know if the community is changing. And that is a big commitment because you're not just buying a house, but you're buying and you're investing in the people that are also in that community. Have you taken a bit of time and maybe walked around, if you have a dog, walked around, talked to people in that community, and you don't get that time and that luxury. And quite frankly, with your real estate agent, that is not your real estate agent's job to walk around and, talk to the neighbors. Now, some of you who work with me will know that I have done this for you, or I actively engage in the communities just because I don't know when to stop talking sometimes. So I will speak to you. Like I'll talk. If I see you, how you doing? Good morning. And if I ask how you're doing, I literally want you to respond with how you're doing. So if you tell me, oh, I'm not feeling well, then I'm going to be like, oh, that's unfortunate. What's going on? And if I have a little bit of time, I'm gonna give you a little bit of time, and then we'll spend that 5 minutes. I'm good at boundaries, but I also will give you the appropriate time. Because if I ask how you're doing, then I want a proper response. I'm fine. If you just say I'm good, and I'm like, oh, okay, you obviously don't want to be engaged. Like, okay, you just good. But if you ask me how I'm doing, I'm fair to middling. Like, I'm gonna give you a substantive response. That's just me. And so I will engage with people in the neighborhood and get a very clear sense about how a community works, the culture, the interaction, the feel, how people act, whether or not there are lots of kids in the community, etc. I won't know the names of the kids. I'm not that ingrained because that would be impossible for all the communities. But I do at least try to speak to neighbors to get a sense. But you as a person who is buying a home, remember you're buying into that community. So don't be put off when you see the neighbors. Just wave at them, chat to them. Hey, how are you? How do you like this area? What are your thoughts? And if you haven't begun to start that process to feel comfortable, a lot of times you don't realize that there are communities north of where you'd like to be, or south or east or west. If you go up an additional 5 to 10 miles, right, there's whole other communities and pockets that are readily available to you. And in this market, it could be situations where homeowners are putting their home on the market feeling that they're too far from DC or too far removed or whatever the case may be, and they may take your offer on the first day. Remember, this is a situation in real estate, and this is a common theme in real estate where time is of the essence. And I am going to go on the soapbox here for 15 seconds. I don't know what the blank is going on in the world of real estate and people where they are doing this waiting 5 days, or we receive multiple offers, but you receive multiple offers over a 7-day period, and my client has to wait 4 or 5 days before we hear back from you. That is bad form. That is bad business. And we need to get out of that practice, because at the end of the day, time is of the essence. If you are a buyer, you're looking to buy a home. You're not looking to play with this one person who has this property because they want to figure out if they can get the best and highest. Get the best and highest. But I feel like we're getting to a place where now we're playing with people. I don't like that. That's just frustrating to me. Now, the last part of this location is really understanding location with respect to the overall ecosystem and the culture. And I spend a lot of time incorporating that into the last part. But that, again, this location is understanding what's around you, what is going to be important to you, what is the distance to work, what is the distance to life and living, what things are important to you. At night, when it's nighttime, are you the kind of person who wants to be able to go out and maybe hit a trail and go for a run? Are you the kind of person who just wants it to be peace and quiet? Do you want to look at the scenery of the woods woods behind you, know that that's quiet? Do you want somebody who wants a little bit mixed in between city living? I'm that kind of person where I like a nice in between. I like to be able to get to the city or access things within about 20 or 30 minutes, but I'm willing to give that up if I had what we call in the South acreage, lots of land and areas, and I'd be willing to make certain sacrifices. And the question becomes, from a location standpoint, especially in this market, what things are you willing to trade off? And that will pivot and shift the location that you are in and that you are choosing. So for example, if you come into this transaction and I'm picking on my best friend, if you come into the transaction, you say, I only want a garage. I have to have a house that has a garage. Then that limits. That's a hyper limiting factor, especially if you're not in a place where garages are something that are very common or people pay a premium for them. And then just depending on when a community was built or developed, the type, the size of a garage is different, and that'll impact the price point and the location. And so all things sometimes don't come together, and sometimes understanding that there are going to have to be trade-offs in your desires for what you want in a house will also impact your location. So in the process of real estate, remember that the location impacts the money, location impacts livability and lifestyle, and location impacts something else, but hopefully you paid attention. So my name is Brandon. I'm your trusted realtor. I look forward to being your source and resource for all of your real estate needs. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this content so that more people have more information and access to the ability to create and build wealth for themselves through real estate. I am your trusted realtor and your resource for all of your real estate needs. Take care and talk to you soon.